Splatoon 3's update cycle getting critiqued is nothing new, but this season definitely seems to be getting some of the complaints the hardest, between the brand new challenges mode being for some reason barely available at only limited times, to the new map being an incredibly repetitive layout of something we've seen from the previous two updates, just slightly more refined. But mainly, people seem to be upset most of all about the weapon kits. So, I wanted to talk about them. Today, I want to address everything, from the balance and the design of the kits themselves, redundant ones that got replaced very quickly, the quality of them, and especially the quantity, if they're being added in enough of an amount and spread out across enough of the weapon classes. Today, I plan to cover the entire topic, so subscribe if you enjoy, and let's get started. Let's start with the first and easiest topic. Are the kits being spread out to enough weapons properly? This was mainly talked about because the previous two updates added a bunch of shooters. The chill season added 5 brand new shooter kits, the season after it added 6, and this one, while only adding 2, is only because there's 4 shooters remaining. They couldn't do as many. By comparison, the brand new weapon classes in the game of Splatoon only have Wiper Deco being added to the game, Stringers have 0, and Ink Brushes have 1 alternate kit. And there's plenty of other poor examples like Brellas, which just got 1. The common counter-argument to this has been that, well, the shooters are the most common class, and it should be what's really seen there. So, this season, have there been many people complaining that we haven't gotten enough shooter kits? Yeah, no, of course not. Unsurprisingly, this wasn't actually that much of a problem. And yeah, part of that is due to the fact that there are many shooters in the game already, but nobody's really looking at it as if 2 new shooter kits is too few. We definitely could have had this spread out to more weapon classes. Also, to be fair to more weapons than just shooters here, it's also pretty redundant we're getting 2 rapids in a row with how similar they are. And yeah, in the worst case, this means we have Stringers, which, again, not just a new weapon class. This is the first weapon we got shown off, and it's on the box cover of the game. And somehow that's not even the most egregious example. That is Gold Dynamo. This is a weapon kit also on the cover of the game that we have seen from day one that had a full model put into the game in the Chill Season update. And somehow, despite all of that, it's not in the game. And it's not coming this season either, which is just absolutely ridiculous. So in terms of how well it's being spread out across multiple weapons, that's not a great job. But what about the quantity? Let's directly compare Splatoon 3's kits being added to Splatoon 2's. In the Chill Season update, we had 3 brand new weapons added to the game and 10 kits, so we're going to count this as a total of 13 new weapons. In the same 3-month cycle, Splatoon 1 added 15 weapon kits to the game, and that's counting the E-liter kits as separate, since one of them is just a scope kit. Another 3 months later, Splatoon 3 added a total of 11 new weapons to the game and 2 new specials. Splatoon 2 added the bubble blowers, we can take one of the specials off there, and let's count the other one as a weapon kit. So that's 12 versus how many? Splatoon 2 around this time added 14 weapon kits. Still technically slightly more. And finally, we have this season, which counting the brand new main weapons we got would be 11 kits. Well, it's another 13 weapon kits, so once again, Splatoon 3 is being beaten out by the previous game. Now listen, I get it doesn't sound like it's losing by that much, but let me get it clear. Splatoon 2 started with too few weapons in the game, and the amount of kits they were adding for that game was seen as too slow at the time, and I would still argue it is. That pace is now slowed down for a game with significantly more base main weapons that need new kits, instead of being properly sped up like it should be. This is also very clearly visible if we look at the amount of weapons that need a second kit. How many do you think it is off the top of your head? 10? 15 maybe? The answer is 27! Granted, this counts the 2 new weapons we just got in this update, but still, take those away and it's 25 weapon kits that have to wait an entire year just to get a second sub and special. It's not like these kits change the mechanics of the weapons or anything. I cannot stress this enough. It is a skin and an existing sub and special being put on the weapon. This is an inexcusably low quantity. It's especially felt when looking at the different combinations. We still have only 3 Kraken weapons counting the heavy deco being added this season. It's really damn low. There's more main weapons, sub-weapons, and special weapons than there were in previous entries, and because of that, adding a slower amount than we did in a game that already did it too slow is really being felt here. I really want to question, would it be that much work to add a few more kits, especially when some of these weapons like Gold Dynamo literally have their models in the game already? I just don't think so. The only other factor that could be used to somewhat excuse this is the quality of kits being higher, and I'll say for the most part, I think it actually is. Most of the kits that are bad right now are bad because the pieces they're adding don't really work. For example, Reef Slider on the new blaster actually does make a lot of sense synergy-wise. Reef Slider is just a garbage special. This is especially felt with a lot of the sub-weapons. Most of the things that aren't bombs right now are pretty weak right now. And this means even when stuff like Curling Bomb, which works great for the new brush considering it has some startup, are going to be received more negatively than they probably should. However, this is more of a balance problem than a kit problem. When specials and subs absolutely don't fit the weapons they're on, then it becomes an issue of the kit design. But when it's because the pieces are weak, that is a fixable problem long term. The only kits I would say are really super problematically bad in terms of design are the ones that are just redundant. This would be Dapple Nuvo having a Location Bomb and Reef Slider to be so similar to Tetra with the same role, or Tenatech Splattershot and Neosplash both having almost identical bombs plus Tri-Strike when they're very similar main weapons. Especially with the quantity of kits we're adding to the game, those that are incredibly similar to each other can often feel like they don't really exist. I barely feel like dualies actually have a second kit, even though they technically do. That being said, while the quality is definitely pretty good, it's not enough to make up for the low quantity of kits. For that to be excusable, we would need to have kits that are on the same power level of things like the Splash-O-Matic, the Carbon Roller Deco, or the Sloshing Machine. Strong, synergistic all the way through. And while doing that for every weapon is unreasonable, I think doing it for most is perfectly reasonable. There's a decent amount of variety you can do while having things synergistically fit that well. I know some people seem opposed to strong kits, but honestly, I'm not. I think weak kits just don't feel fun. They've never felt fun in any of the previous games, and using that as a way to artificially hold down a weapon is terrible design to me. I think every weapon in this game deserves a pretty strong weapon kit, and it can always easily be balanced around. It shouldn't be anything super insane like Burst Bomb Missile on every weapon, but it doesn't have to be. It should just make a lot of sense for the weapon in a way that enables its strengths and makes up for its weaknesses in a reasonable amount, and we've seen that with many of the kits in the game already. Here's the thing about weapon kits to me. I don't think it's as big of a problem as people are making it out to be. No question it sucks, and it's gonna make getting third kits for every weapon difficult, which is especially annoying since the previous two games failed to do so. However, what actually makes this problem annoying is that it's not a hard thing to fix. This is a random artificial limitation. This is the same reason so many people are disappointed by the challenges, because them just simply not being locked behind certain times is all it needs, which is an easy change. Kits, on the other hand, are just a sub, special, and a skin. They're not difficult to put in the game. It's especially disappointing when we've seen stuff like Salmon Run being transferred to Splatoon 3 and how much of an insane quality of life change it is to have it all the time, and then we get challenges in the game that somehow have that same problem from Splatoon 2. The limited amount of kits we have in the game, in a sense, feels like the same thing. This is a lesson we should have learned from Splatoon 2, but instead not only have we not learned, but in terms of quantity, we are doing worse than that game. Splatoon 3 in many ways is held back by problems it really shouldn't be. It gets so many incredibly difficult things right, but it makes it all the more annoying when it fumbles at some of the easiest things to do right. My hope for the future is that we just straight up get more weapon kits. I don't care if it's in the middle of the season, if we get more of them at the start of the season, however it happens, we really need to get more variety in this game, and kits are the easiest way to do it. So at the end of the day, the kits issue to me is inexcusable, and I really hope we get more in the future. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you all next time.